Hey everybody, 1 second here. Welcome back to another unorthodox episode of Fantasy FSi Fantasy Baseball Picks. I'm your host, MegaRuler31. So, a little goofy today. McKinley was supposed to have the video, but unfortunately he had some life things come up. So, I really didn't want to not do a video today. This slate is a really good one. So I am driving to an appointment currently. I've got the car in cruise control in the non-passing lanes. So let's break into it. So I apologize. I'll do the best I can here. Not sure if I'll get all the pitching matchups right because I don't have all the information other than my sheet on me. So I'm relying on my memory. So we'll start with the first game. Houston and New York. We have Astros and the Yankees. We have Brown going up against Severino. Severino's obviously a fade. There's something broken with him. So definitely Houston's my favorite stack on the slate. Brown, I really like him against the Yankees. He's really good against righties, and even though it's in Yankee Stadium, the weather is going to be wet. I think they make it through most of the game without any issue. I think Brown should be able to get a full game in, even if the game ends prematurely. So I really like him as probably my favorite, second favorite mid-range guy. And obviously love the Houston bats. I'm going to stack them every single which way against Severino, and then the Yankees will just be a contrarian stack. Next up, we have the New York Mets and the Baltimore Orioles. Peterson going for the Mets is a fade. I really like the Orioles here. They're my second favorite stack on the slate. And on the other side, Dean Kramer, he's been good recently, and the Mets have just kind of mailed it in, it seems, this season. So besides Lindor and maybe Alonso, they really don't have much left. Nemo's out, so I'm absolutely fine playing Kramer. I think he makes a great SP2 option in cash or for GPP. Next up, we have Kansas City and Philadelphia. Might be a little bit of rain here too, but nothing that should really disrupt things. So Nola's been hot and cold recently. It's a great, good get-right matchup for him, so hopefully he comes through for us there and does well. And I think, if you're paying up for a pitcher, I think he's definitely a good one in play here for you. But, we'll get to the other guys in the top range also coming up here. And on the other side, I believe it's Lyles against Philly. I'm not interested there. So Philly definitely is probably my third favorite stack. It's just weird how these games go in order here with how the favorite stacks. And the Kansas City would just be a leverage stack because if they see some ownership on Nola here, then definitely, they've shown some pop recently. So if they can get to him and he has got another rough outing, then they should be low owned and do pretty well. Next up, we have the White Sox in Cleveland. It's kind of a cross-off game. Both pitchers are You got Clevenger, who's really struggled recently, and Allen, I think a lot of people will play him, but I think he might be a little bit overrated. Like, the White Sox, they traded away Berger. They really don't have much left there, so there are some strikeouts. I guess I can see playing Allen. He's not a high strikeout pitcher, but on the other side, I'm not playing Clevenger, and Cleveland doesn't strike out much. But Cleveland really just hasn't been showing a lot of power or anything a lot recently, so again, I'm just going to kind of cross this game off. 11-game slate, there's so many other places to go. Toronto and Boston. We have Manoah, and this has the largest rain risk, so we really have to watch on this one, up against Paxton. Paxton was hot, cooled off a little bit, but so was this Blue Jays lineup. Left a lot of guys on base, struck out a lot more than normal against Baltimore recently. So I really think, Bichette outside of the lineup, and Springer's just been having an abysmal season. So not really interested in Toronto, and I think you can maybe take some shots in GPP on Paxton just because the weather kind of scares me off of him in cash. And then Manoah's an absolute fade. Boston is one of my favorite stacks, especially if the weather turns out to be fine here. There's going to be no issues. Lefties in this park against Manoah. Their bullpen, I've been talking about this over and over again. They used a ton of guys up in the series against Baltimore in blowouts and in close games. Romano, their closer's out. Another key guy is also injured. And then, to top it off, they're going with a six-man rotation now that they brought Ryu in. So they have one less arm. You usually have 7 in the bullpen, and now they're down to 6. So even if Manoah has a decent game, I'm still thinking that it's going to be kind of dangerous against this bullpen for the Boston Bats. They can take advantage of that. So hope the game plays. It's one of my favorite GPP stacks on the night. Next up, we have Miami and Toronto. We have Luzardo, who's been hot and cold too, but I don't think I can play him against this Texas offense. And then for Texas, who do we got going here? Looking through the list. Not sure. Oh, it's Montgomery. Okay, yeah, he came over in the trade. So, Montgomery, again, has been hot and cold also. So, if bat-wise, Texas definitely a stack to play here. You know, I prefer Houston, Baltimore, and Philly, and probably Boston if it plays over that, and then maybe some of the value stacks. So, definitely Texas in the top 10. And then for Miami, I like them as cheap bats too, especially the righties. Like Soler Berger at third base crushes lefties. He should be hitting the 4th or 5th position. So, you know, I definitely wouldn't count them out. So, next up, we have Pittsburgh and Milwaukee, another kind of cross-off game. Both pitchers not really interested in here. Ryu and he's going for Pittsburgh. Not positive who it is, though. But I just remember in doing the sheet, I wasn't too enthralled with whoever it was. So, not going to be playing either pitcher there. And really, I mean, Milwaukee's got a high total at 5, so if you want to, and they did go off last night, so if you do want to take them against Pittsburgh and the bullpen, then I'm okay with that. But I'm not really a high priority. I think I like Colorado better and Miami. But, you know, they're definitely in play here. They definitely have been pretty affordable, and especially, like, it's funny in the video the other day I said, like Terang or whoever the guy is that's the lefty that hits lower in the Milwaukee lineup, like, oh, play him. He's a great guy. He can get on base and speed. He has no power, and then he goes and hits a home run last night. So, you know, there you go. That's what you get. So, next up, we have Arizona and Minnesota. And I think Kelly's going to be my favorite pitcher on the slate here. I know I have Nola and Castillo ahead of him, but I think Kelly, Minnesota strikes out so much, and Kelly has just been so good this year that I think that it's actually going to be even more upside there with how bad Minnesota strikes out. Buxton's still banged up, so really like Kelly. I think he's good. That's why he's on the cover, and it's going to be my favorite pitcher on the slate, probably my SP1 in cash. And then on the other side, pitching for Minnesota's Ober. I just can't trust them against this Arizona lineup. They're just so good, mix and match, all different kinds of ways. So Arizona would be my second favorite GPP stack of the night against Ober here, especially the lefties. Even if you don't want to go full stack, if you just want to take like Carroll and Perdermo if he's leading off, and Marte is a switch hitter, and then even wrap around with the cheap guys in the bottom like Alex Thomas. There's lots of good ways to go there. Next up, we have Colorado and St. Louis. St. Louis is throwing out Wainwright. He's come back from injury. He's just so banged up. Colorado's been horrible, but I think this is a chance to take them here, especially as cheap fill-ins. They're so inexpensive. Even though it's not in Coors Field, I think they can do decent here. And Wainwright is kind of a reverse blitz guy, so I'm fine with the righties here against him. So just throw them out there. I'm ready to go with that. And the ones I'm looking at is like Diaz, the catcher. Tovar is usually cheap, hitting about second and shortstop. Norman Jones there. I think he's a lefty, but he's good. So there's a lot of decent cheap pieces here that you can use. Brendan Rodgers is really cheap on both sides too. So there's lots of decent opportunity to play these Colorado ones and fill in. St. Louis, like they're banged up too, but they're up against who's pitching for Flexman? Maybe? I don't remember, but I remember his dad. I remember his reverse splits guy. I think it's Flexman. Maybe Flexman's are still in Seattle. I can't remember. I apologize for that. But anyways, when I did the research, I have St. Louis in the R here because whoever the pitcher was a reverse splits guy. So I'm definitely okay with taking it probably more in GPP than cash, but Nolan Arenado, Newbar leading off is perfectly fine. You don't have to see. I think Gorman is a little bit banged up, so he may not be in the lineup. So even Walker here, Arenado, if you want to build the full St. Louis stack, there's enough righties to go. But I'd still include Newbar in that one. Two games left: Seattle and LAA. Ohtani's questionable, so that might help here. And yeah, Flexen must be not on Seattle anymore because I know Castillo is pitching for Seattle. And I like him. Again, he's been up and down. This Angels lineup, he's been really good against righties, and that's pretty much what the Angel lineup's going to roll out besides Ohtani. And if Ohtani's banged up and not in there, then I think I like Castillo a little bit more. But again, I don't love him at the 10K price, so I think if you want to throw him in a GPP, that's fine, but I don't know if he's necessarily a cash play. And then on the other side, Detmer, he's my favorite guy in the middle range and might be my SB2 in cash. Really like him. He's really good against righties, and Seattle is all righty, and he's striking out I think 33 or 35% against righties. It's down to 13% against lefties, but Seattle really doesn't have, besides Crawford, he doesn't have a ton of power. Clinic's not in that lineup anymore. I know Raleigh's a switch hitter, so maybe some trouble there. Maybe he'll give up 1 or 2 home runs, but he should be able to get 8 or 9 strikeouts here and have a really nice day. So I really like Detmers, and I think he's a great play. Bat-wise, both of them are just going to be leverage plays. So I think the pitcher will have enough ownership that nothing really sticks out for the stacks, especially if Ohtani's out of the. But if you're playing 150 max, it's just definitely have a stack of each against the pitcher. And then finally, we have the Dodgers and San Diego, which earlier in the season, before San Diego was completely underwhelmed, this looked like this would be an awesome matchup, and that they should be neck and neck for the top of the standings for the NL West, but not the case. So the Dodgers have Miller coming out, and I think he's okay in the cheap range because, again, San Diego has underperformed, and he's decent against righties, and they do have a lot of righties there, but there are, Soto will have to worry about as a lefty, and Cronenworth, or maybe he's right. I don't know. All I know is that San Diego is very disciplined, even though they're not getting the results. So, they like to drive up the pitch count, and they're actually, I heard a Baltimore interview too, and they talked about that being one of the team concepts of just running up pitch counts against opposing pitchers as part of their team offensive strategy, and I think San Diego shares that a little bit too. Dodgers on the other side, it all depends on which Darvish you're getting. There's been really good Darvish. He's the Jekyll and Hyde here, so I think he can definitely play, and he's been a pretty reverse split season too. So I think if Betts is in the lineup, and I think the Dodgers will have definitely some low ownership. So great GPP late night hammer to throw Betts out there, and maybe Rosario if he's in the shortstop, JD if he's back in. I mean, you can still play Muncy, you can still play Freeman, and they're definitely Taylor if he's in the lineup, but I think they're more of a GPP than cash because the bullpen behind Darvish should be pretty decent too with the acquisitions that they made. I don't think they've completely mailed it in yet, but the window's closing, and this is a very crucial series to them. So that's what I got for you. So now let me try to move it over to show you. So we'll start with DK. Cash, like I said, I'm taking Kelly, and then I'm going to stack Colorado because they're so cheap with Houston. So Houston, you can stack so many ways. It's hard to get Tucker and Alvarez in the same lineup, but if you can make it work, then that's awesome. Rogers can also go to third base if you rather take Altuve there, and then skip Bregman. Probably going to have to punt catcher here, and then probably, like I said, my SB2, I'm going to take Detmers. I'm going to take Kramer probably for that. GPP, Brown and Detmers definitely I like for that build. I'm going to take the Boston lefties here and fill in with some righties from Miami. If Boston, you don't like that, then just go with Baltimore. Pretty much the same positions there. So Mountcastle at first base, Gunnar Henderson at third base or shortstop, and then outfielders Hayes and Santander. And then for FanDuel, sorry about this, guys, I'm trying to drive and do this. Kelly, same thing. Rogers, Bregman, Tovar, Alvarez, Tucker or Jones there. The build is Colorado and Houston with Kelly as the pitcher, and then for GPP Boston, fill in with Baltimore if you don't like Boston. So you're probably gonna take a one off of shortstop because neither the Marlins or Red Sox have somebody that really want to play in that position. So either punt it or take a one off, or if Baltimore is the one, then Gunnar can go there, and then opens up third base for you for a Marlins. So that might not be bad. So that's what I got for you. As always, put questions in the chat below. Hit me up at Twitter, MegaRuler31. I know this video is probably a train wreck, but thanks for watching anyway. So if it is still helpful for you, please like, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and share with your friends. And if you want more information on FSi DFS, especially check out our Twitter, because we're doing preseason football for free. So if you want to jump in on that, had a decent night of the Hall of Fame game, but there's going to be games coming up usually for next 3 weeks. I think like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So if you want to get on that, and there's a huge price break on our season package for NFL. So thanks again for watching. I'm MegaRuler31. You can stop the video right now, or you're going to watch me try to fumble my phone around to stop this thing from recording and try not to drive off the road. So